Hello, you'll see today I've got a bunch of single shadows here. These are all of my cream potted single shadows or stick single shadows or liquid single shadows. Basically anything that I don't store in a palette is right here. Heads up, if you hear my voice sounds a little bit weird, I'm still getting over COVID. I got it for the first time, so please be patient with my voice. I know I'm a little late starting my Vlogmas, but that is why I was gone for a few days at the beginning. For the rest of December though, I should be filming a video and posting every day, so be sure to subscribe down in the corner, and if you want to see swatches of all of these eyeshadows, then go ahead and just keep on watching. So we're going to go manga style and read right to left today. So we're going to start with these stick shadows. This first one is from Bobbi Brown. It's the shade Golden Pink, and I got this in like some free sample from Sephora at one point or another. It's a really pretty neutral color. It's got quite a bit of shine to it, but I find that this doesn't last super well on my eyelids actually. So I mostly use this in the waterline as eyeliner, and I don't have problems with it creasing that way. I'll go ahead and swatch things out on my arm too, so that way we can kind of keep a running tally of things as well. Next up, we've got a shadow stick from Kiko Milano. This is the shade 06, it looks like. I feel like Kiko Milano is kind of a slept-on brand in the US, at least. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. And I thought that some of their cream products might be dupe for some Charlotte Tilbury stuff, so I picked this one up. It's a nice, deep, smoky, cool tone brown. It's not quite as sheeny as the Bobbi Brown one, but it does have a nice dimension to it once it hits the light, and it is a nice single shadow look. I actually end up keeping these stick shadows with my eyeliners because I end up using them as eyeliners quite a bit too. But there is that one, and sorry for these terrible swatches. Next up, I've got two of the NYX Jumbo sticks. This first one is the shade Cupcake, I believe. Let me double check. Yes, it is Cupcake. This is like shimmery metallic pink. Although, I don't know, for some reason it's not getting a ton of sheen in this light right now, but it is a really pretty one, and it's really unique for my liners. I don't have a ton of pink, and so I use it as a liner a lot for like my more pastel colorful looks that I like to do. This next one is a matte one, and this is the shade Iced Latte, and I use this as a base for a lot of my eyeshadow looks. I'll use this as kind of like a primer of sorts, and I really like the color of it. It's a little bit more pink IRL than I expected it to be, but blended out on my eyes, it's a really nice base color. This one is from She Glam, and it's the shade Butter Up. I got this a long time ago before I knew anything about She Glam or Sheen, which I don't buy from anymore, but I figured I'd show it to you just in case. So this is like super emollient and creamy. Like you can see how easily I just like spread that out. And you can kind of wipe it to be like become nothing, you know? It doesn't last super, super well. So I sometimes will use this as like a light base, but I honestly don't use this one a ton. I can see myself decluttering this in the future, but for now I have the space for it, so I'm holding on to it because it's already here. Now we're getting into the e.l.f. shadow sticks. I really, really like these. This first one is the shade Bronze Metal, and it is gorgeous. It's really similar to that Kiko Milano one. Honestly, let me double check. Let's see if we've got a dupe on our hands. Yeah, that's looking dupe-ish to me. I got this one at TJ Maxx a long time ago, and I really like the formula of the No Budge shadow sticks. And again, This one is a really good one shadow look, but man, those are exactly the same, aren't they? This next one is the shade Ice Cream from their like Ice Cream Dream collection that came out a while ago. I find this one's a little bit drier and like chunkier looking than the other ones that I have, but it also is a little more sparkly, and I think it's a really pretty shade. Here, let me do a bigger swatch on the back of my hand so you can really see. That's a really pretty one. We'll go ahead and do this one though. This one I use a ton. You can see I've got like an angle kind of built into this because I use this on my brow bone and my inner corner and my cheekbones a lot as an actual highlighter. It's a really pretty shade. This is Perfect Pearl, and you can see it does have a base, but if you like sheer it out, at least on my skin tone, it works as a highlighter and it keeps that really pretty sheen. And I take this with me a lot if I've like built a palette but I haven't included an inner corner highlight shade. I'll take this with me on like trips and stuff, and this is what I use to highlight while I'm away. So this is one of their matte shadow sticks that they came out with earlier this year. This is the shade Lava Lamp, and honestly I don't know if I've played with this enough to have full thoughts, but it is creamy and I love this color. I think it's such a fun color for a shadow stick to kind of work in as like a graphic shape or something like that. I've got 3 ColourPop ones. This yellow is called Sunday Morning, and I don't love the ColourPop ones, honestly. They're really, really dry, and I'm not sure if you can see, they're kind of chunky compared to the e.l.f. ones. So I had originally gotten this yellow because I wanted a bright yellow liner, and this was the closest thing I could find. I do think that e.l.f. has a shadow stick in this kind of color though, so I might eventually switch to that, but it does do the job, and so I keep it around. The next 2 are metallic. This one I can't even tell you what it's called because all of the text has completely worn away. It's from their Limoncello collection, the first time that they came out with these types of shadow sticks, but I'm not sure if you can see as I'm like rubbing it on, it just is dry. It takes a while to warm up. It kind of goes on patchy. I'm not sure if you can see that it's not even. It does have a really pretty metallic to it, but I've just tried a lot of different formulas for these types of things, and I don't love this one, honestly. As I was just swatching, I realized I have another one that wasn't out here, so we'll set that to the side and we'll swatch this first. This is another ColourPop one. This is Isla Vista, and it was such a unique color. I wanted to try it out, but it's just the same formula as the rest of the ColourPop ones, and it's just not my favorite. I keep it around because it's unique, and again, I've got space for this stuff right now, and so it's here, but I honestly don't use these ColourPop ones a whole lot because I just don't love that formula. It's really, really dry. And the one that I had forgotten about is the Milani shadow stick. I think that this is the shade Gilded. It's just a warm metallic bronze. It's pretty. It's like not my favorite. I would definitely pick the e.l.f. ones over this, but it does go on smooth, and I do like it a lot more than the ColourPop ones. These are all of the shadow sticks swatched out. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe off my arm because I already, well, you know what, maybe I'll do the potted ones over here and then I'll do the liquid ones here, and we'll see if we can fit everything on both arms, okay? To start off with potted shadows, I have 3 of the No Budge Cream eyeshadows. I really like this formula. This first one is the yellow, I think it's called Sahara. It's a really pretty mustardy yellow. These are pigmented, but I find that they blend out well, and I love to use them as bases or as a single shadow matte look on my eyes. So, so pretty. Next up, we've got this light brown one, Sand Dune. This is my favorite. It's like the creamiest feeling, and I'm not sure if it's because I use it the most or what, but it starts off as like this more cool tone, mid-tone brown, but it can be blended into something a lot softer. You can kind of see here. And that's how I wear it on my lids a lot, just like as one shadow. It's so, so pretty. The flip side, this is the white shade. It's called Wispy Cloud. And I feel like I try to use this one as a base for pastel looks sometimes, but it can kind of accentuate dry patches on my skin as I blend it out. And so I really do have to make sure it's a nice thick creamy layer, because if I blend it out too much, it just looks a little dry. This is technically two shadows, but I'm going to include it in here. This is from Auric, and this is Temper, so it's like the more rose gold kind of duo. I do really like this. The cream shadow is so pretty and just looks really, really natural on the eyes, and is a great like one and done shade for work for me. The one on top, the topper, is pretty, but it has such bad hard pan, and I've heard other people say that theirs get hard pan too, and so I don't love that, obviously, but it does still like deliver on my hand or like my arm or my eye or wherever I'm putting it. I can't get those glitters to show up a whole lot right now, but in person it is really, really sparkly. I'm not sure if the light just isn't hitting it right. Let me try to adjust my lighting. Okay, I think you can maybe see it a little bit better now, but there it is. And I'll show you it topped over just the one side really quickly. And you can see it does definitely add a sparkle to it. Next up, I've got the Charlotte Tilbury cream shadow in Oyster Pearl. And this is a little bit more cool than the one from Auric, but the finish of these two creams is very, very similar, and I like to use them for similar purposes. I think I might like the color of the Charlotte Tilbury one a little bit better just because it's not quite as warm. Next, this is from Revlon. It's like a little cream shadow. It's not nearly as creamy as either of the other two I was just showing you. It kind of feels a little bit more like Vaseline-y. This is the shade Praline, and you will know if you saw my video a long time ago about underrated makeup, I put this in there, and I think that it's a really pretty, like, my lids but better kind of shade. It just adds a little bit of something to it, and again, a great work shade. You know, you don't see me use these so much on my channel, but I use them a lot when I'm getting ready for work. I definitely don't use them a lot for makeup playtime though. I actually have two of these Moira shades. This one is Jupiter, and I have the shade Infinity, but that one is at work, and sometimes if I haven't done makeup before work, I'll take that one, or I have that one at my desk and I'll throw it on if I want a little something. I think that these are really pretty though. This one especially is so, so pretty. It's like a nice warm base with a blue and green and like silver sparkle throughout it. It is so pretty. Whenever I wear the other one at work, Infinity, everyone's always like, oh, I like the glitter on your eyes. I'm like, not glitter, but I can see why you would think it is glitter because it is so, so sparkly. Lauren May Beauty just did a video about Moira that I was watching like earlier this morning, and she said that these remind her of the Super Shock shadows, and I definitely agree. They're very squishy like that, but I find that these pack a little bit more punch consistently, at least with the two that I have, whereas some of the Super Shocks are a little less sparkly. This little shadow is from the Retro palette. It's kind of broken, but that's okay. I got this from my friend Olivia. She sent this to me in the mail. Really, really pretty shadow from Natasha Denona. Go ahead and move down here to these Essence ones first. I have two of these soft touch eyeshadows, which I was hoping was going to be more like the Melted Chrome because these are getting really hard to find, but they're not. Honestly, I kind of don't like these. This one is the shade Eternity, and I was like, oh, that would be great for a one shadow look. And you know, they're super, super cheap because it's Essence, but can you see how dusty that looks on my finger? If not, you probably will be able to on my arm. It just is dusty. There's not a lot of sheen to it. If anything, I'd say it's a satin, but I have satins that I would rather use, and I don't love these. I've been considering trying to declutter them, and honestly, I think that this might be the end for them. I also have this one, which is champagne. I was thinking, again, I could take this with me as like a single shadow for highlight stuff, you know, when I travel. But honestly, I don't ever picture myself bringing it because it's nothing to write home about. I think I was right with my initial thoughts that I'm not going to be able to fit all of these on one arm, and so I'm going to go wash this off, and then we'll keep swatching the potted shadows on this arm. This one, though, from Essence, this is the Melted Chrome shadow, and this is number 2, I think. Yeah, number 2, Ironic. And it is beautiful. Look at that sparkle and shine. It's lasted well. I mean, it's cracked, but it doesn't feel dry when you touch it. It is a cream shadow, and it is gorgeous. I love this one, and it's really similar to this shade from JD Glow, the Prismetal series. This is Chrome Crusher, and it's a little bit deeper, and this one's more creamy, like more squishy than the Essence. But color-wise, they're pretty similar. You can see the Chrome Crusher shade from the Prismetal line is darker, but they're that same cool, like taupey gray kind of shade. I really do love this one from JCat, but I've tried another one in this range and I didn't like it. I ended up getting rid of it and giving it to a cousin. So, I mean, they're really inexpensive, but just know they're not all made equal. I can't remember the other shade I had, but it was like a champagne kind of color. Before we get into Super Shocks, we'll do these two as well. This is from Beauty Bay. This is the shade Reverie, and it's kind of, again, that like squishy kind of shadow. This one's a little bit firmer, just a pretty gold. There's nothing really like super revolutionary about it. I definitely don't like this formula as much as the Melted Chrome one, but it is pretty, and I'm glad to have something a little bit more warm and bright because I feel like a lot of my stuff leans a little bit more neutral or cool. Come to think of it, these two, the one from e.l.f. and the one from Beauty Bay, would actually be really pretty together. I'll have to try that out sometime. Then I've got this lustrous foil shadow from Ulta's in-house brand. This is the shade Rose Gold Leaf, and you can see it is broken. We're gonna try our best to squish it back. This one is squishy, but it's also flaky, which I think you can see on my finger how flaky it is, but it is so sparkly. Oh my gosh, it is like indie shadow level sparkly. I bet that'd be really pretty topped over this one from Charlotte Tilbury. I'll have to try that out too. Look at these combos I'm finding. Now we'll get into my Super Shocks. We'll start with this one. This is I Heart This, and I actually swatched this in a really recent video when I was duping palettes. It's a cool tone, sparkly, just, you know, Super Shock shadow, standard type of shadow from them. You know, normally it is really sparkly, but in comparison to that one from Ulta, it just doesn't hold a candle. Honestly, out of all of my Super Shock shadows, I feel like this one is down at the bottom. It's not quite as sparkly as some of my others, and I've expected more from this color, honestly. The surprise of no one, though, I really like this shade Rooftop Cocktails. I say to the surprise of no one because if you've seen any of my single shadow content before, you'll know I love a blue-brown duochrome. And this one is really like satiny and shiny. Very, very sophisticated for like a one shadow look with a little pop of color. I take that traveling with me a lot as like my one eyeshadow, and then like this guy for my inner corner and brow bone. I thought this might be one of the oldest things in my makeup collection. This is from the Disney Designer collection, which if you know, you know, that was like 2018, and you can definitely feel its age. It feels kind of dry. It's not as shiny as it used to be, but I love it and I can't get rid of it. I don't know. I used to wear this all the time when it came out. It's such a fun pop of blue, and it holds a special place in my heart, so I keep it, even though that's, you know, maybe not super hygienic. I don't care. So far, my eyes haven't fallen out, so I guess that's a good thing. And look how pretty that is. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna save the best two for last, so we'll go with this one. This is the shade Sequin. Oh no, oh my gosh. Give me a second, let me fix this. The good thing about the Super Shocks and all of these like more creamy shadows is that you can squish them right back together. You've seen me do it with a few of the others too. So I've got a good swatch from doing some fixing on that one. This is just a little bit more, I don't know, of like a metallic, not a metallic, it's like, it's sparkly. I mean, it's the same formula as this one. And I think I'm learning that's just not my favorite formula in the Super Shocks. Like this one is a pigmented shadow with sparkles in it. And I think I would rather have something like this that is sparkly and then there's some pigment, you know? Whereas if it's going to be pigmented, I want it to be something more like this, where it has a shift and a sparkle in it, where it adds dimension to my eye. This one just doesn't add a ton of dimension. It just is pigment with sparkle in it. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but hopefully you kind of understand what I'm trying to say. Let me know, do you get what I'm trying to say? Let me know down in the comments. Now, best for last, we've got Ritz, which is everyone's favorite. It's a warm base with a silver sparkle throughout it, and you can see it's so sparkly, a great topper shade. There's a reason everyone loves it so much. And then last but not least, for sure, honestly, last but my favorite, this is Lady Bird. And it is just insanely sparkly. I was at Target recently, and I know that they're selling ColourPop at Target, and my Target had both of these shades. I didn't get either of them from Target, as seen by the fact that there are dents in them, but I do think that these are accessible at Target now, so that's kind of cool. I've only got a few liquid shadows left. I used to have a lot more of these, but honestly, I just don't use them a ton, and so I've gotten rid of a lot of them. This one from e.l.f. is a really pretty one and done shade. What is this called? Do we see a name, you guys? I know you probably can't because it's hard for me to see. Oh my gosh, this is Moon. Okay, so here is Moon. Tell me that is not everything I said I like. It's very dimensional, so pretty, and I find the best way to apply these is I put it on my finger, and then I'll like tap it onto my eye, so that way I don't get too much, and it doesn't like crease super crazy bad, and you still get that dimension and shine. Next up, I actually have a matte color fix as well, but I keep it with my blushes because it's so pigmented. I don't use it as an eyeshadow. This is one of the Danessa Myricks like shimmer color fixes in the shade Ballerina, and this one I do use as an eyeshadow because it's not nearly as pigmented. It's so much easier to blend, and it's really pretty. Look at that. Doesn't that look wet? It is very pretty. I need to crack this out. It's been a while, so I need to give that one some love. Next is a Sydney Grace single like liquid shadow. This is the shade Euphoria. It's a really pretty purple with like gold sparkle in it. Like I said, I just don't use liquid shadows quite as much because they're a little harder to work with. They take a little bit more commitment, but they do wear really well. And I do think that this is a really pretty purple. It reminds me of a like pressed powder shadow I have from them. So you know what, I'll go grab it and we'll compare it really fast. This is the shade, it's Lavender Hill. And I know this is not what this video is about, but just in case you were curious, if you're like me and you prefer the potted or like the single shadows, they are similar. This one has a deeper base, but looking at them head on, they're pretty dang similar. Last but not least, I've got this About Face matte liquid shadow, and this is the shade, it's Blitz. It's just a matte yellow. If you don't know, I love yellow eyeshadow. I don't know what it is, but I love it so much. And so that is like a primary yellow, whereas this is more of a mustard yellow, and I like having them both. I also like to use this as liner, although I find if you're not careful with these About Face ones, they can get a little cakey looking on the eyes, so just something to note. Here are all of the liquid slash potted shadows that I have swatched out. You know, really, really pretty. I love this type of stuff. That's why I wanted to do a more chill video like this today, because I don't have a ton of energy, but I could just sit here by myself and swatch beautiful things on my arms for hours and hours. So I hope that you've enjoyed watching me swatch these. I'm hoping to do an updated makeup collection category by category and show you everything that I have. I also am planning on doing the same thing with my single shadows and my giant magnetic pans. I'm going to be doing those by colors, so look out for that coming up. Like I said, subscribe if you haven't already. I know a ton of people did do this, and I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but I will shout out my friend Hot Vegan Hannah, because I know she posted a video about her potted shadows really recently, so go check hers out if you like this type of content, and subscribe, because like I said, I'll be doing a lot more of this type of stuff, especially as I'm recovering from COVID and getting my voice back and all of that stuff. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know, do you have any single cream potted stick liquid shadows? What are some of your favorites? What are some duds? I just love to hear what you all have to say about makeup and stuff. I don't have people IRL that like to talk about this stuff, so anytime you guys have anything you want to share, I'd love to hear it in the comments down below. And until I see you next time, I hope that you stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. Bye!